Have you ever wondered the difference between a bare muzzle and a suppressor on a precision rifle, both from a recoil and a accuracy perspective? That's what we're covering down on this video. Welcome to the channel. My name is Phillip Velayo, and this is now part 2 of the installment that I'm doing with Silencershop to bring you educational videos about the performance difference with suppressors on precision rifles. So we've got some packing up to do, and I will see you at the range to walk through some A/B testing that I'm going to be doing with some of my precision rifles. We'll see you over there. All right, so at the range, I had to set up my trigger cam on both my rifles so that you guys can see this. And I'm at the 100-yard line just because that's all you really need to do these A/B tests, just to see what kind of offset I'm looking at. So I'm gonna essentially grab velocity as well, just to see the velocity difference, if there is, between a Barrett muzzle and a suppressor. And both rifles are going to be shooting the same load, 147s, ELDMs, my hand loads that I have. And the carbon fiber barrel is a 22-inch barrel, and my steel barrel competition is a 26-inch. So setting this up is going to be quite the chore. I'm gonna do zero target first. Okay, cool. And then I'll just leave these here. So zero target. These rifles were last shot with suppressors on, so there's gonna be obviously a point aim, point impact shift. So it got pretty windy, and I'm pretty much talking about how I'm going to test the Tikka competition rifle bare muzzle on that left target, and then put the Dominus and test it on the right target, and then on the bottom shooting my carbon fiber bare muzzle on the bottom left and suppressor at the bottom right. So pretty fun. I mean, what I suspect is that the steel barrel, when throwing the can on, is not going to have that big of a point aim, point impact shift, just because of how heavy the barrel already is. And with the carbon barrel, there's going to be a larger point aim, point impact shift with putting the can on. But I'm curious to see the velocity difference between Barrett muzzle and suppressor, as well as group size. So let's get it set up. So Barrett muzzle on the competition rifle. Again, 26-inch barrel. This is a proof research on a Tikka, chambered by Short Action Customs. And we're gonna go ahead, just double check the zero real quick. And then I'm gonna shoot 10 rounds out of the competition barrel, and probably just 5 rounds out of the carbon barrel. So let's see how she does. All right, just gonna aim dead center. My length of pull seems short. All right. Super loud, obviously. And looks like I'm low. 2671 is my velocity. So I'm gonna group that. 2667. $26.61. So 3 shots right about $26.67. Extreme spread of 10, and I mean that's a pretty tight group right there. I don't know if I can get any tighter than that. So that's looks like it's about 6/10 low. And maybe a 1/10 right. All right. So that 0 is good. So now what I'm gonna do is just shoot 10 rounds on the top unsuppressed. Okay, I'm not gonna mess with it. Just see how it groups. Well, pretty good. Extreme spread is still 14. I didn't pick up 2 of those shots. CB break goes on first. How's it going? Good, good. Can I'm putting on is the Thunder Beast Dominus here. Oh no, I'm talking to the camera. You're good. Suppressor's on, and I'm not going to touch any dials. I should be high. I'm probably going to impact up there at the. I'm probably going to impact. I'm 6/10 right below the A/B testing, so we'll see. My OG Tikka with a 22-inch proof carbon fiber pre-fit, 6.5 Creedmoor, same loads. And trigger cam is on, 0, 0. And let's see what it looks like. A little bit bigger bite, 26.19. Ooh. Well, spreads are good. 26.18. This group is not good. Just double check my action screws here. Well, that could be the reason why. Front action screw is loose. Always check your action screws, guys. Shoot 2 more. Okay, I mean, it looks like the 0 is pretty dead nuts there. 26.11. All right. All right. We do 10 shots. Carbon barrel. .2604. .2608. 2594. 2608. 2608. 2600. $25.92. $25.92. $264. Just so that you guys can see this, essentially just getting it running, start hand torquing it. And that's all I really do with my cans. And I haven't had any issues with them coming loose during a course of fire. Knock on wood. We'll wait a little bit for this barrel to cool down. It's a little hot. So. All right. Ten shots suppressed. Very interesting results. No point of aim, point of impact shift on a carbon fiber barrel with a suppressor added to it. I'm excited to measure the groups down range, and we'll talk about it back at the studio. Okay, so before I talk about this target and my results, I know a lot of you guys are gonna ask where to find these targets at, and I will link the website where you can find these targets for free, the zero target as well as the A/B testing target. And again, what's nice about the way that we design these targets for the Cadre is that every little grid that you see there is about a 1-inch spread so that you can make whatever calculations, but more specifically, when I was actually measuring out, I use the Ballistic X software, which is found pretty much on any iOS or Android platform. Super great app where you can essentially just measure group sizes. It just asks you for a little bit of information after you take a picture of the target, but more importantly, it asks you to reference 1 inch. So without having to draw it, we provided that for you. So yeah. The targets will be free to download on the Cadre website, which again, I will link down below. Okay guys, back from the range. Sorry, I was intending on being a little bit more talkative at the range, but because I had a visitor, I just didn't want to seem like I was talking to myself and be socially awkward. So I ended up conversing with him, super nice guy. His name's Dave, retired here in Cody. Anyways, I have the results and I've just put everything on writing so that you guys can see it from the top down view. And I'll just go ahead and recap this. So I know that when I last fired that first rifle, which was the Tikka T3X and the KRG C4, the pretty much competition configuration, it was zeroed with a suppressor on it with the same load, the 147 ELDMs. And honestly, my first 3 shots were right here, all 3 of them stacked on top of each other, which was awesome. Felt pretty good because I had been in the range in a few weeks with having a baby. So that was cool. So that you guys saw that there, I made the adjustment and I just shot 10 rounds here as, you know, fast as I could accurately engage, because realistically that's how, you know, kind of the pace that I'm gonna be shooting in a PRS style competition anyways. And I did 10 shots just because, you know, bigger sample size, the better. But that 10 shots grouped just a little over 3/4 of a minute, 0.791 inches. And the velocity was 2662 on average. Now, when I put the Thunder Beast Ultra, Now, when I put the Thunder Beast Dominus on that rifle, I know that knew I was gonna have a point A and point A impact shift. I didn't think it was gonna be that aggressive, but that you can see there, it was a pretty big shift. That was about a 1/2 mil up and about 2/10 right, is what I ultimately ended up making the adjustment for. But you can see here, I did, you know, shave off group size a little bit, not, you know, extreme or a very big amount, but there's still a difference in terms of the group tightening up, right? But you can see there, it did increase the velocity by 13 feet per second as well over those 10 shots. Now, what was really interesting, moving on to the carbon fiber barrel, which is this bottom row here, right? And so starting off, when I did my zero confirmation, you saw the first 3 shots, at least I did, and I just marked them here. This was 1, 2, and then 3. With how nasty that group was, I immediately was like, okay, hey, something's wrong. So I grabbed my fix-it sticks, and thankfully I had them on me, but I usually always have those set of those on me. I retorqued the action screws back to 65 inch-pounds, and my next 2 shots were right here. So friendly reminder, make sure you double check your action screws to make sure that they're not loose. But in the case that you see something like this, it could be the fact that your action screws are loose, so go ahead and check that. Again, every manufacturer is different, so make sure you check your manufacturer to figure out which torque settings that you need for your rifle specifically. So that was my zero with 2 shots with a bare muzzle on the carbon fiber barrel. Again, it's a 22-inch barrel. So those loads that I shot out of that rifle, actually is not meant for that rifle. I just loaded up the same exact, or I just shot the same exact rounds that I had for that Tikka competition configuration that I normally run. And again, with it being a carbon fiber barrel, I'm not expecting the same exact performance as a steel barrel, and I know that, but 10 shots, I was super happy with the performance after that. One little flyer there, but you know, all 10 shots averaged just under 1 minute of angle, right? And you can see I shot that at a pretty, you know, aggressive pace, not slow by any means, right? And then I averaged a velocity of 2605 feet per second. Then I screwed on a Thunder Beast Ultra 7 on there with a 264 Ultra 7, 10 shots, 0.942 inches, and another velocity increase, 2616. So about 11 feet per second. Now, if you can see here, the point of aim, point of impact shift with the carbon fiber barrel was very minimal, and that was one thing that I was not expecting. I even actually reached out to my contact at Thunder Beast and I asked if he had seen that, because usually when I've done this before in the past with carbon fiber barrels, there's a greater point of aim, point of impact shift, but One thing that he did recommend is that I test it again to see if it's repeatable. But yeah, I would expect these results to be flip-flopped because from my experience with a heavier steel barrel, you know, you'll see very minimal point A and point A back shift, and with a carbon, you see a lot more. But again, that was a very interesting find that I was able to shoot and you guys were able to see leading up to this video. So one thing that I did not really get to, you know, walk through, but I just immediately knew the difference was the recoil, especially if you looked at the difference of recoil when I was shooting bare muzzle with the carbon fiber barrel or the lightweight configuration compared to a suppressor. My recoil management was a lot better once I threw that suppressor on. And again, things that I found is that it does reduce recoil a little bit, and obviously I was able to shoot without ears on a little bit more comfortably versus having ears on. Now, with how heavy my competition configuration is, really I didn't notice too much of a difference with regard to recoil going from bare muzzle to suppressor, but that was also in the prone. I know that will change if I did any type of positional shooting. So overall final conclusion, like I said in my first video, I knew that there was going to be a slight muzzle velocity increase with going from a bare muzzle to a suppressor, as well as a, you know, inherent increase of precision or accuracy, which is conclusive for two rifles in, you know, two different classes. Again, these are both in 6.5 Creedmoor. One thing that you could probably test, especially for my hunters out there, is, you know, for your Magnum rifles. I know I've also seen, you know, bigger differences in point A and point A back shift depending on the cartridge. So yeah, hopefully that provides some type of educational value for you guys that you guys can see firsthand with my tests. But at the end of the day, go out, find your own truce. You know, I'll always tell all my students, if you're changing something by adding a muzzle device to your barrel, or, you know, whether it's a suppressor, whether it's going from a bare muzzle to a muzzle brake, whatever the case might be, at the end of the day, you just want to double check to make sure your zero is good to go before you head out to the field, and that your muzzle velocity is still tracking, just so that your data is lining up, so that when you are shooting out to distance, you are getting the desired results downrange that you need to achieve success. So that's all I got for this video. I'm excited for installment number 3, which will be a surprise. But yeah, let me know if you guys have any more questions about suppressors on precision rifles, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, remember, keep your face on the gun.